All right, this is the moment that we have been waiting for as we talk about something topical in the society. Now, today we take over from here.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Charity. And good morning, Nigerians. This is the discussion segment of New Dawn, and we're going to be discussing something that is the business of every one of us. They say security is everybody's business. If you see something, you have to say something. So that is what we're discussing today. We are looking at the series of reforms going on in the security architecture of this country, and looking at the state police in particular. It's not yet done. It's just passed through the second reading at both the Senate and the House of Reps. It has not yet been signed into law, but we are just thinking aloud. We are thinking ahead. What is this going to be like? And to discuss this with us we have two gentlemen. One in the studio, we have a friend of the house, someone that you know so well, Venerable Samson Popola, Chairman PCRC Zone 2 headquarters. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Joining us via Zoom is Mr. Olawale Adedoyin, social commentator. Mr. Adedoyin, nice to have you on New Dawn this morning.
It's a pleasure to be with you on the program today. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
All right.
And of course, good morning to the audience.
Okay.
Charity.
Okay, let me start with Venerable Popola and talk about this thing once again. The state police debate has been on for years now. This is not the first time. You want to know why it is taking about another dimension for the federal government to look into it this time around. Why do you think it's gaining this momentum by the federal government especially?
Well, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that the issue of having to discuss the issue of state police now is something that should have, taken off with the Republic itself. Because when we're talking about the Nigeria, I think as of now, a lot of people, when you say, what's the name of your country? We only say Nigeria. But the correct appellation is actually Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so if you are running a federal system, it behaves on every segment of the governmental apparatus, the local, the states, and the federal, to be in charge of their security. Because that's the whole essence of federalism, that every sector of every step of governance should be able to take care of its security. But I think that we took it for granted over the years because the challenges were not, as pronounced as they are now. But because now that the challenges and the need, for having local solution to security problem is now with us now. The issue of Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping, cultism, ritual killing, which are localized. And so when you have localized problem or you have localized security challenges, you need to be able to tackle it locally. And so that's why the debates and then the frenzy now about, a lot of people that have been dragging their foot before, we don't want it, we want it, one part of the country is agitating the other. But now, I think we have all come to the reality that this is something that is necessary. And that's why the frenzy and you say that while the National Assembly, we are still preparing their own, the president sent in an executive bill, and, within 2 or 3 days, we were done with it, and we are hoping that the implementation will be seamless, so that at least every state or every local government will be able to have a structure that can, quickly respond to security challenges in such locality.
Okay, Mr. Adedoyin, let's talk about the implementation, if it is eventually brought to Nigeria, for state governors to use their own state police and function in the security line. Don't you think the federal might of the policing architecture that we have will be reduced? Do you see a clash of interest between the federal government and the state government when it comes to issuing things that this police would do, and the federal government as the supervisory role that they will be playing, don't you think the federal government will want to load a lot of veto power on them for them to use the state police according to the federal law and the constitution that we have in Nigeria?
Oh, okay. Ordinarily, I do not expect any sort of clash between the state and the federal police, because I expect that upon the accession of the president, the state assemblies will also have to sit down and draw up the modus operandi for the police operation in the states, and of course look at areas where there will be duplicated roles. Of course, policing generally has to be, a general thing, but there can be specific roles that are relevant to each individual states. You understand that now? So if these are properly spelled out, there really shouldn't be clash. But then there will be moments where federal police will have to step in, and these will be situations where maybe there are situations where the state police could not really handle a situation or circumstance, or forgive me for this one, maybe it's assumed that they've gone rogue in some senses, and the federal police may now have to step in to either restore normalcy or ensure that they are being respected and being adhered to. So if these are properly spelled out, as I have mentioned, individual states, their assemblies should look into the powers to be given into their state police, and this should be done with respect to the existing laws that guide or act that guides the present federal police institution presently, and ensure that there are no clash in any form. As long as we ensure this, I do not foresee any problem in the future.
Yeah, Mr. Edoin, let me stay with you. One of the things that is a challenge, a kind of fear, when it comes to establishment of state police, is the fact that the recruitment will be done by who? The armory will be undertaken by who? And when there's political issues, who will be in charge? These are the governors. The answer to the 3 questions. So the fear is not even with the federal police, it's with those that are the state governors. How are we sure that it will not be a true? This is the question in the heart of most Nigerians.
So if I get you right, your fear is that, or the fear of the people that you are trying to pronounce here is that the creation of the state police might be a tool in the hands of the state government. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Let's say the truth. The truth is that there are chances this may happen. You understand that now. And the only way to ensure it doesn't really happen, well, is that the word to use? No. There are chances it will happen, but the only way to ensure that we don't have much of impact from this aspect is to ensure that there's a body that is neutral. I don't know how the state government or the federal government will do it. A body that is neutral, that will be overseeing these state police in each of the states. Like, there will be a commissioner of police in the states. Who empowers this commissioner of police? To whom does he answer to? You understand that? And to whom does he answer to? Will he be answerable eventually to a federal commissioner, if there is? Or will he be answerable to the Inspector General of Police at the end of the day? Or will he also still be answerable to the government? If the answer is that the person will be answerable to the government, we cannot rule out that possibility. I'm afraid I have to admit that we cannot rule out that possibility. But then, do we now think that because of this possibility of becoming a tool in the hand of the state governors, we now say, oh no, the state police hasn't come to stay, or it's not what we need right now. My brother, that fear is not enough for us to rule out the possibility of the state police in the states. Like the venerable rightly said, our problems are local, and we need local people to help us attend to them. I was listening to Bode George recently on television where he was saying that, there are times when on his way home, he meets some policemen around, and by the time he looks at them, they are not men from around and within. Maybe somebody that has been posted from Sokoto, or somebody that has been posted from Kano, being posted to come and man his area. He would feel more, in fact, that he would feel more comfortable if he had somebody, let's say for example, he is living in Kuto. I'm just saying an example, he's living in Kuto, and if he sees a police that is a local is at play, you understand that now, and even the residents there will feel more rest assured. So I think if you would ask me, I think we should take it one step at a time. Let the state police come first. Let it be established. Let's see the usefulness. Then, as the problems are emerging, we will be seeing how we will tackle them and resolve them. But if the question is that, do I think that it will be tools in the hand of the state government? I think I agree with you. It may eventually be. So that might be a discussion for a future where maybe the assemblies or the president or whoever it is will sit down to look at it or eventually arrest this situation too.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I want to comment into that. You see, this resistance to change, this unnecessary fear when things are being introduced into the country, is something we should do away with. If we're talking about state policing structure, as at that, don't we have a judicial system that has state structure? Are we now saying that all the judiciary in every state are tools in the hands of the governors? No, because for the judiciary we have the National Judicial Council, that is responsible for appointment, promotion, and everything, despite the fact that every of our states have their own judicial system. So if we have that, so what is now, holding us back from having a state structure? And the law, the little I'm able to read about it shows that we're going to have a Federal Police Service Commission, which will be responsible for, recruitment, discipline and everything. And for every state, they will also have their own state police service, commission. And the law will spell out exactly how this body is going to be constituted. So we have that. And of course, even as at now that we don't have state police, we don't have anything, there is this provision in the constitution that even if any government decides to go rogue today, a state of emergency can be declared by the federal government to take over the state on the things settled. So the same thing when you have a state policing system, and you find that this particular has gone rogue, like you rightly said, it's in the power of the federal government to federalize. You can federalize that particular state police for the period of that crisis. And taking the power out of the governor, out of the hands of the governor, so we should not, because people are likely going to, use it either for political gain or something like that. We should not, like what we're talking about. I think the greatest fear is during elections. That will be the greatest fear. But you will find out that during election, all these state police will be federalized. Because the federal election is a federal thing, and the federal police will be in charge. And so if they need more power, it's not a matter of federalizing, state police service for the period of that election, answerable to the Inspector General of Police for that particular period. So we should not be afraid that bringing new things and new innovation, that we know that at the end of the day, the positives are more than the negative. Like you have said, we're talking about the local situation here. It takes a local person, to be able to, monitor such situation. Like if in Abeokuta, for example, and you have somebody, there's something happening in Kuto, like as rightly said, and you find out that the DPO in Kuto police station, for example, is an indigent there. Apart from the fact that he will be held accountable. You know Yoruba for what we are. You tell you, we know your father, we know your mother. You cannot come here and be doing all of it. So this sort of accountability will be there. So I think it's something that we need to. If the judiciary is working for us, I don't see why the police structure cannot work for us.
Okay, another concern, Venerable.
If I may, Venerable, I like your optimism, and it doesn't excuse the fact that you cited the state legislative arms being independently run, but let's not forget that we have you cited the state judiciary arm being independently run. Let's not forget that we have the state legislative arm too, and we've had series of untoward acts from them too. See how Ladoja was removed from office. See Farache when he presented budget and how they had to pass it. There were influences, there were interferences. I do not then think that it is out of place for us to start preempting.
Okay.
You understand that there could be possibilities for this. Now, the early preemption will help us quickly look for solutions ahead of these occurrences. You understand that? So we still need the think tanks to still come together to be able to. But then I agree totally with you. The state police has come to stay. I am a supporter of it, and it will really help. Look at the number of policemen we have federally, and look at the total number of people that we have. We have little hands to handle the security situation in the country. So the state police is a very welcome idea, and I think it has come to stay. So we may just these preempted circumstances that may occur, we may have to now start looking at when it happens, how do we cope?
Before I allow Charity to take off his next question, and the reason I'm asking this question is because now that we have agreed that this is a possibility, what clause can we put in the constitution now that the constitution is being reviewed in terms of state police? What clause can we put, or whatever it is can do to make it illegal for a governor to do so and so and so with the state police structure? Is there
I think even within the bill sent by the president, they are politicians, so they know themselves. So there are already there are cautions, there from the appointment of while the federal government, for example, the president will appoint the IG. The structure, we have two structures. You have the Ministry of Police Affairs and you have the Police Service Commission. That are in charge of discipline, and this Police Service Commission is made up of representatives from the 6 geopolitical zone. Police Service Commission, they have representatives in Southwest, in South, they are all there as commissioner there. So we already have that in there. And I'm also saying that there's also the possibility that at any point in time where the governors are going rogue in using them for political gain or for personal thing, the federal government will be at liberty to federalize that particular police structure for the period. It's just like declaring a state of emergency, for example. And so we also need to know that they have said that the DIGs at the federal level will also be overseeing the commissioners at their own geopolitical zone, because even as of now we have DIGs representing the geopolitical zone, so they will be at top of it, while you have the commissioner here appointed by the governor with confirmation from the houses of assembly in the state. You still have you have the structure already put in place to oversee the commissioners of police there. So that is already there. And of course, the other thing that we quickly need to look at is funding. They should take the funding, should be a first line charge even at the state level, so that we don't have a situation. The judiciary now, we have some level of first line charges for the judiciary to take care of it. So we should also have that, because one of the greatest weapons that the government can use against state police is funding. Now, okay, fine, if you don't do this, I won't be able to do this for you. But if they are independent, in terms of funding, then we can be sure that because they belong to the state and they are local, we'll be able to put more pressure, just like he has said, that we as citizens have a role to play. Now that this thing is nearer to us now, it's not something in Abuja that is so far away from us that we don't know what is happening. We can, be able to check whatever is happening. And if anybody is going wrong or doing things that should not be done, the citizens, I think every structure has the possibility of being abused, is there. Even as we speak, a lot of people are accusing the presidency of using the federal police against the state. So that we have a federal police does not mean that it's still being abused, even at the state level. A lot of government will tell you we don't have control over it, but they know how they maneuver. When they need the services of the police, they know how they maneuver around the commissioners of police to get things done for them. So we are not talking about, but I think the citizens, more like this, should be able to stand up and do what is right instead of checkmating excesses in this structure that we're going into. Okay,
another concern from some Nigerians, according to what we have read, is that the federal character, taking Nigerians to other states and work for other states. They know the terrain, they know how Nigeria works, they know the process, how other states or other nation works, will be eroded if we want to localize the idea of state police having an indigene working in the state that you are from. Don't you think this concern should be looked into, Venerable?
I think we should not forget the fact that the federal police will still be present in all the states. Okay. It's not as if we are packing everybody and they are going to stay in Abuja. We will still have the federal service, federal police service present in every, and so that federal police can take care of the federal character that we are talking about. And of course they are there, and the crime that each will be able to look into will always be there. That does not rule out the fact that when you have burglary, for example, in a particular place, and it's the duty of the state police, it does not exclude the federal police. If they are the nearest to the point, to that particular point of committing that crime, the federal police will take there and then hand it over to the state police. That's how it works. So if the police station, the federal police station, is nearer to you and you have local crime being committed, the federal will come in, because they will be there before the state police, for example, and then take care of the situation and hand it over to, just like we have our several security agencies now. Sometimes a custom officer will arrest somebody, but because they know they cannot prosecute, they hand it over to the police to do so. So if we have that synergy and we're able to, I'm sure that yes, teaching problems will be there. We cannot rule it out, but it's a work in process. In progress. It's a work in progress. I think within the next 10-15 years, we'll have gotten there. That everything will have. We didn't start with our politics like this now. The years, the FEDECO years, FEDECO, INECO, SINEC, with so many names before we now arrive at INEC now. So we are evolving. And I'm sure that once the problem starts arising, people will look into it and will be able to nip it in the bud. Okay, Adedo, let's talk about the recruitment process and look at how, if eventually this bill passes the last stage and it got the signature of the federal government, the federal president of Nigeria, how do you think the recruitment process should go, and who should supervise this recruitment? Let's take away the federal police out of this and look at the agencies that you think the federal government should bring on board, or people that the federal government should use in ensuring that criminal-minded people are not recruited at the local level. But before we go ahead with your answer, we want to go for a break now and answer to a commercial break.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jaden. Very good. And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole. This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people would have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you about my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
All right, you're welcome back, and now we continue. We were asking Mr. Olawale Adedoyin about what he thinks about what the federal government should really put in place when it comes to recruitment, who to supervise the recruitment process, what agency, what character, especially in Nigeria now. A lot of people do not even know who are criminal-minded and who are not until there's something that has happened that you know that this person is actually not patriotic in some sense. So what should the federal government put in place when it comes to the recruitment process and employing people to the state policing?
So, Charity, is it the federal government now or the state government trying to put?
I think the first, according to the law, the federal government will start first, and the state government will take over from there.
Okay, so our major concern now should be on the people that will constitute the body that will
Service Commission.
And I think that we should look around and look for the coercive instruments of the states, like the military, the police, the air force, and all that. We should look for veterans or people who are retired, who are sound in intelligence and all that, and bring them together. One, then we cannot do this without the people themselves. We look at representatives from the people. It could be a representative of the OPA or representative of CDAs or CDCs. You understand? These are people that should form members of the body that will oversee recruitment of these state police personnel. Then secondly, another thing, I don't know if there's anything like state character. We have the federal character where appointments must go round, and these people must be duly, represented in the appointments and all that. However, this character option should not override competence. You understand that now? This character option should not override competence. So we will have to look around in the state. How many local governments are there? You understand that now? From each of the local governments or wards, we will have, maybe percentages given as quota to each of these local governments to get personnel employed from. Then also, I do not, with so much respect to the Nigerian police force, I do not entirely support so much involvement of the current Nigerian police force structure. Basically, because of the lack of trust we have in them. It's believed that they have been penetrated with a lot of corrupt personnel. I'm not saying that there are no trustworthy, like the President Inspector General of Police is someone that has brought reforms. You understand? And that is someone with mindset to ensure that policing is brought to the same par as it is obtainable elsewhere in the world. You understand? But then, if it is possible that much of the influence comes from even other agencies like the military or even if it's going to be outside the country, so if it's possible, we can also borrow from what is obtainable elsewhere and also bring into practice here. We have the New York Police Department, we have the Los Angeles Police Department, and all that. There are notes to be able, there are lessons to be able to pick from there. You understand? And now to help the startup of our own police force too. If this can be put in place, I'm sure that we will have a very smooth start. Then let's not forget the fact that almost all the states in the Southwest have something that seems like a replica of state police force. You understand that now? Perhaps a reorientation might just be what is necessary. Perhaps a reorientation and a reorientation basically, and a do I say a transmission from whatever name they are called or whatever it is they've been doing into state police, the state police force. I think if we can follow these procedures, we'll have a very smooth start. Do not forget, let's make sure that there are locals involved in the body that will oversee the recruitment. If the locals are not involved, the purpose for which the body is set up would have failed even right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the composition of the State's Police Service Commission, as stipulated in the law now, you know, have taken care of some of these concerns, like the civil society organizations will be represented there, the judiciary will be represented, the security service will also be represented. And I think beyond that, just like you have said, the locals, especially our traditional and religious leaders, should be represented. But I think beyond that, this challenge, if the state police structure will either work or fail, rests solely on the houses of assembly. They need to up their game and do due diligence during the process of, you know, nominating, because the governor can nominate, but it's their own duty to actually vet those people that are coming in. And I think this is where we as citizens need to do a lot. There is going to be, you know, public hearing, for example. It is for us to go there. Look at the last recruitment that was done. The present IG, you know, agreed that the PCRC must be on ground at every recruitment center. Not necessarily interfering, but even, you know, looking at all those, and you'll be able to pick out, I know, this person cannot be there. I've heard about this, but this cannot be there. Because they know that we live in the same environment, we know ourselves. So we need to do this a lot more. But like I always say, the citizens' involvement, our I don't care attitude, laissez-faire attitude is too much when it comes to things that concerns us. Now we're talking about the state police. It is time that everybody that has anything to add or anything to contribute, this is the time for everyone now to start writing memo or submissions here and there, so that by the time we are taking off, we'll be taking off, you know, something that is very robust. And thank God that it is not compulsory for all the states to take off at the same time. So the law has said that the states can take off at their own pace when they are ready, or when they have met all the necessary requirements of the law. That's when they can start. So we cannot say because they have signed it today and tomorrow you start having state police. You still have to, the law still need to be domiciled in their various houses of assembly, and after that the funding and everything has to be taken care of. The composition of the service commission, the state police service commission, has to be taken care of. So every state, and that is the beauty of federalism, states can do things in their own, at their own pace. Because Lagos is starting tomorrow, doesn't mean that Borno should start if they are not ready for it. But I think that with all this, but the most important thing, like I said, is that the people, you cannot police the people if they don't have a buy-in into that structure. They cannot. But I also want to say that my co-contributor mentioned something about, you know, the lack of trust. Let me say it categorically here that we cannot have a police or a military or any structure or any organization that will be, you know, distinct from who we are. If you are going to have a police that is acceptable, incorruptible, it starts with you and I. If we as citizens are incorruptible, if we are patriotic, it is amongst us that now they would have been recruited to go there. But if we are corrupt, if we are not patriotic, if we are destructive, it's just garbage in, garbage out. So I think everybody needs to work. We will come to the reality now that this is the state, this is our country. That's how always been. I'm so passionate about this country. This is our country. Because I don't see any country that will take refugee from Nigeria, 230 million. So we need to sit down and work things out. So that if our country works, you know, many people are abroad. When you go there, you see them, you know that the only thing they are waiting for is for their country to work. Because what they are going through, where they are, compared to what they will enjoy if we have, you know, good security, good infrastructure, the water system, the rail system, and everything. If it works, I know a lot of people will come back. That's why I'm even happy now that we have this dark pattern that you're talking about. By the time they are coming back, they will be coming back with load of experience, with load of innovation that will assist us. It's just like sending people to secondary school or to university to go and learn from other climes, and then you come back to your country and then contribute your quota.
Okay.
I would like
to... One other thing that I'd like to quickly add that will help the startup is the place of technology. Policing does not entirely have to do with bearing of arms and moving about in uniforms. I was driving one day, and when I go home, I saw a message on my phone. Oh, you displaced today without a valid roadworthiness, is a certificate or document. I was wondering, where did I go to? That was technology
at work,
in place and at play. You understand that now? If we can ensure that there are technological gadgets or whatever it is being put in place, and there are control rooms where the environments are being watched and being secured, you understand? It will also reduce the load of work on the security personnel themselves, because the technological know-how would have helped them. Sorry, there's a call interfering. That's cut. So the technological know-how would have helped to do perhaps 70% of the investigative work they would have done upon receiving reports of crime in the environment. So state governments should ensure that they invest in this too. It will help. And I agree with you again when you said that the people, when we have good people, we'll have a good society. And when I got the message that we were going to be talking about security reforms, these reforms include us too, as individuals. Our perceptions, our mindsets, our attitudes to things and society. A society that celebrates crime and criminal acts will not grow and develop as much as it would have if it had frowned against such acts too. And this starts from within our homes too. So these are ways too that we can also look into to help our state policing.
Okay.
Another one, not likely. Another one.
Ideas are coming.
The issue of data, citizens' data is very key, and that's why this technology thing comes in. You cannot, once a crime is committed, fingerprints are taken. The footprint, of that particular thing is taken, and you have, a data bank. Where if you check in the bank, you can't find it. You check in the licensing office, you find it. Or you have a centralized database that fingerprint and face recognition can be run. So you can say, okay, this is likely. Because what's the point of having CCTV installed when you don't have a face recognition, gadget that will be able to do that and say, okay, this person is living in Sokoto, this one must be in Madugwe or something like that. So we need to invest heavily and have a centralized, not this distorted, a lot of us carry so many data things around, driving license apart, national ID card, international passport, BVN, these are that. All these things can be harmonized, that in a single card, everything about you where you live, where you work, your residence and everything can be there. If we are able to do that, the police will have less work to do.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to ask Sally doing this question. Let's hypothetically use state A and state B. State A is struggling with salaries at the moment. Minimum wage is a struggle. And state B is buoyant enough, can take on 2 states at the same time if he wants to. Now, if these 2 states start state police, obviously one will be technologically inclined and is police force well equipped, maybe well kitted, well armed, compared to state B. Now, this issue of no money that the governors are saying, though the president is saying they have money, but the governors are saying there's no money. How do we treat this issue of no money when it comes to state police? Because this is going to increase the wage
additional
bill, wage bill of almost all the states, if not all.
Okay, you would agree with me that one of the problems we have presently with the Nigerian police force is the fact that it has been argued that they are not properly remunerated, and this has accounted for one of many or several other reasons why bribes and whatever it is takes place. You understand? And I love the fact that it has been stated that states who currently think they cannot fund the stats of the police, the state police, can still hold on. You understand? So if state B cannot currently fund, if they are still struggling with the payment of minimum wage, then they still have the federal presence. They still have the presence of the federal police force, you understand, in their states. So they can still hold on until when they feel that, they are ready and they are capable of having the state police force. Then the ones that have it can start, they can kick up. You understand? They can start whatever it is that is necessary or required for them to own and run the state police. But I do not advise that those that are still struggling, because let's not deceive ourselves. One of the things that will make the presence of the state police function well, excellently in the state is proper remuneration. Such that when there is an attempt to even bribe, the person looks down on you and say, why, I don't need this, I'm properly being remunerated. You understand that now? So if that is not put into cognizance and we go ahead to start the state police without proper remuneration, we are only replicating the problem. We are transferring the cancer from federal back to the states. So the joy of the establishment of the state police is fine. Now, let's take caution with startup. Let's ensure that we have everything that is necessary for a successful startup in place before we can start. It is not a shame that your state cannot start yet. The fact is that your state may not be able to afford additional personnel on your payroll for now. That does not mean that it would never come. It may come up eventually. Now, talking about the president is saying there is money and the state, honestly, I cannot really say which of which is actually telling the truth. But apparently there are more allocations. I mean, there are more allocations being shared with the state governors. You understand that now? And what are they using them for? A governor that has the love and the concern of its citizens will know and realize that whatever money that is coming in can also still go for state policing. Look at the spate of the rise of kidnapping in and around our country presently. Kudos to the operation of the Nigerian police force recently at along Ogbere or so. That they said they did Operation Kusaye. I even love that statement, Operation Kusaye, that they are not ready to allow these people come into the states. I won't blame the governor of Oyo State who refused to negotiate or even heed to the demands of the kidnappers. Despite that, we all should be concerned that there are children involved. But the moment the state governments, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
The moment the state government starts to negotiate with kidnappers, it becomes a business. It becomes a new enterprise in the states, and they start a full business. But now, when we have state police, they perhaps would have even heard faster than we the citizens would have. You understand? Because their information network and all that will even be more localized than the federal government's police. So, sir, A should start up having the money.
Okay, I think
Okay, if I can take it up from there, this issue of funding, we're just talking about priority. We're spending a lot of money in fighting criminalities now. Paying ransom, buying this, buying that, which is cheaper, prevention or the cure that we're trying to look at. So once we have the state police that we're talking about, we solve a lot of problems. Number one, every state, I am sure there is no state that will want to take off that will be less than about 1,000 personnel. So if all the 36 states take off and you have 36,000, that is taking 36,000 out of the unemployment market. You have one. Secondly, you will have better penetration because the federal police now is limited in its penetration. The Barra police station has been there now for how many years? And the area of jurisdiction keeps expanding every day, but the division is not expanding at the same rate. So you have, with the state police, you have more. As at now, when you look at the so safe, VG and something like, you can see their penetration. Even where they have not heard about police at all, you have these people present there. So I think the issue of money has to do that the governors now have to start thinking out of the box, you know, to be able to take care of this. And of course, we as citizens too should know that some level of responsibility will also fall on us to be able to fund our own security. So security trust fund, for example, could be established to be able to take care of, you know, contingencies like that. And look at this Kosai thing. It was a joint operation between Lagos and Ogun, and it was right here in Ogun that operation took place. That is the synergy of the zone. You know, the zone 2 overseeing Lagos and Ogun. They're able to do that. So if when you have states that their capacity is not, and you have a neighboring states that have that particular capacity, in terms of crisis, they can call up to each other to be able to assist each other. So,
okay, Venerable, let's talk about the established regional security outfits that we have. In Southwest, we have the Amotekun. I know that in the East, there are ECN, and the North too have they have their own. So what is the place of this regional outfit, security outfit now when we are talking about state police? What will be their role? How will they function? Are they going to be under the state police? And how will the state government is funding them right now? Wouldn't that be an additional burden to the state government? We've been talking about funding and finances, and it is a very, very important aspect of ensuring that this state police will live long.
I think all these agencies that you have spoken about are agencies that were filling
the gap,
the void.
Okay.
You know, for due to lack of state police structure. So every governor now should have a way of harmonizing all these organizations that we are talking about and bring them into the state police within the constitutional and the provision of the law. Because some of these, you find out that in some of these organizations that we're talking about, there is nothing like age limits. You can see 70, 80-year-olds still saying they are this and that, but that cannot hold in a state police structure. So the harmonization is the key. That every governor now has to bring all these people together and sieve, so that it's even in training and everything. A lot of them have gone through training or something like that, so you can, you know, be able to tap into that. So your training requirement is less because you already have people that have that experience, something like that. You can look at the age, you can look at the education and all that, and then bring, you know, able to sift from them to take off as a starting point for the state police. While the older ones can still be, you know, at the periphery, you know, still assisting because they are also useful.
Okay,
right.
Adedoyin, let's talk about the political will this time around. The government that will be giving power to those that will be recruited who have a political power. And this political will to have people from their political class is something that people have been talking about. Do you think they will go the political way to recruit people, or you don't think so?
Okay, by political way, you meant that only those
in their parties.
Patronage.
Patronage. Well, yeah, you've actually spoken like a typical Nigerian, because that's was mostly obtainable. But any serious government that has the interest of the citizen at heart, that is tired of the issue of insecurity in the society, should or would become so objective well enough to put aside party patronage, you understand, and ensure that the state police architecture is objectively set up, you understand. The moment party patronage becomes the yardstick to becoming employed, that's the beginning, that's the start of the failure of the institution. You understand? So I think that governors should take note of this and ensure, if indeed they want a secured environment, a secured state, because I've seen states where some traffic enforcement agencies, personnel were employed based on party patronage, and at the end of the day, they become bigger than even their employers. And at the end of the day, they became nails on the road, such that there were always clashes between them and the populace, the citizen. At some point during the election period, the citizens started clamoring for the state governments to cancel that law enforcement agency entirely. So, and this is not supposed to be so with the state police. So, my advice is just that the politicians, the governor specifically, should ensure that this exercise is objectively handled.
Thank you so much.
Because
Thank you.
We're going to be having different professionals, the medical, the forensic people, the arms bearers, all lots and all sorts. If we put all these things in the wrong hands, like I said earlier, will you be transferring the cancer?
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olawale Adedoyin, a social commentator. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning. I also want to thank Venerable Samson Bukola. Thank you so much for always being there. And this conversation will not end now. It's still continuing because the law has not been passed yet. It has not been signed, and also the states that wants to start have not yet adopted it. So we still have a lot of things to talk about. So don't worry. We can have it another time on this show. Charity, we have to go.
All right, thank you so much, our viewers all over the globe, for staying tuned with New Dawn, and it returns next week, God willing, with new topics, new analysts, and people that are so patriotic to the development of Nigeria. Play your part well and ensure that Nigeria is a better place for all of us. Thank you for staying with OGTV. See you next week.